Hi, Lindy here, and thank you for joining my channel. If you are new to my videos, welcome. In my series on handmade bags that I've knitted and crocheted, this is the 5th bag I'm going to be showing you, my crocheted metallic black evening bag. I love the way this bag turned out with the gold lining. You can use it as a clutch bag or carry it by the handle, or my favorite is on your shoulder. I made the shoulder straps out of some black beads and then I sewed it together with yarn from this bag because it's a very strong yarn. The bag is made with this mesh stitch, which is a chain stitch and very much a beginner's stitch. And it's the same as I made my market bags. I'm going to show you step by step how I planned and made the bag. And you can obviously adjust it to the shape you wish to have or the color. Putting the bag together required a bit of planning, which I'd like to show you today. Let's begin making this bag now. Begin by choosing the yarn you wish to crochet your bag with and the components to make the bag. I found this metallic yarn, which is perfect for an evening bag. A bag clasp, which you could cut off an old bag, lining and some beads for the shoulder strap. I'm going to be using this glitter yarn. It's very fine, and I'm going to be using this crochet hook, which is a 3.5 millimeter. This is going to be the lining for the handbag. When you look inside, you're going to see the gold. Then this is going to be the clasp for the handbag. So when you open it, you're going to see the gold inside, and you can see that this metal has got a little bit of the pink coming into it. These little holes here, I need to attach the bag and catch it onto the clasp. So I'm quite excited about that, and I think it's going to look very pretty. I'm going to do the pattern similar to what I did with my market bag with mesh. This bag has 44 holes on each side, and we need to connect the top of the crocheted bag to this clasp. So 44 holes, I'm going to make 50 chain stitches, which means there'll be 3 stitches on each side extra, which will help when you open it. So you'll have this little space here. I'm then going to do about an inch of single crochet, which will then fit into here, and I'll attach it. We're going to crochet 50 chain stitches. $49.50. So there we have our 50 stitches. So now we're going to do 6 rows of single crochet. I cast on with a 3.5 millimeter. I'm actually now going to change to a 3 millimeter because we're going to need a much smaller crochet hook to get into this. This is quite difficult to work with because it's quite scratchy and it's got lots of colors in it. It's not just made up of one strand, there are many strands, and you have to be careful that you keep all the strands together. We're going to do one more, and then we're going to go in to this stitch, just into one stitch. I'm going to do a couple of rows for the welt at the top of the bag and then meet you back here. So here we have the first 6 single crochet rows. It has a little bit of a stretch to it. This is where we started, and if you see how this fits in here, that is how it's going to go into the clasp, and I'm going to catch underneath the top row. I'm going to start the mesh part. It's the same as the market bag I did in a previous video. We're now going to continue with the 3 millimeter, and we're going to do 5 chain stitches. We're going to turn it around and we're going to go into the next stitch. And another 5 chain stitches. Into the next stitch, pull it through, and then we go round and slip it off. And there you can see the little loops for the mesh. So five chain stitches, the next stitch, I'm going to continue on this row and I'll show you when I get to the end. So I find this thread quite scratchy and you can't actually crochet very fast. And what I also find is when I'm actually going to slip off the 2 stitches, I actually have to slip off one and then the next one. It's just too difficult to slip them off at the same time. So I'm doing 3, 4, 5 chain stitches into the next stitch, and 5 more chain stitches. Now I'm going to go into the very end. This is going to be my last stitch of this row. And I'm going to do 5 chain stitches at the end. And then I'm going to turn this around to the other side, and as we did with the market bag, you attach 1 single crochet, slip it off into the top of the loop so we get a second loop. So there we have 2 loops on the second row. So here you can see we've done a few rows to start. So we're just going to keep going like this for a few more rows, and you can see how it's going to fit into this clasp. What we'll do when we do it is we'll find the center, we'll put that in here, and then this will go along like that, and this will go in here, and then this pleating will continue down as far as we decide to make it. And then when we get to the bottom of that, we continue on the other side and then finish off with the same edging. So right now we're looking at approximately 9 inches from the top of the welt. So from the edge of the welt we want it to be 5 inches. What we need to do now, crochet up until 10 inches, and then we will be able to start making the second welt. So what I've discovered, the best way to work with this yarn is to hold it at the bottom here and pull away from it to allow the crochet hook to go through. I'm going to continue until it measures from here, the bottom of the welt, to the edge, 10 inches. and then we can start decreasing and making the second welt. We've now completed all the mesh. We have 11 inches, which means that the first side is going to be 6 inches. The next row we are going to begin the welt for the other side. 1 single crochet into each of these loops. In other words, we're going to start pulling it in. So we begin this row by making 1 single crochet, then we go into the loop, single crochet, into the next loop, and we just keep going, pulling it in. And I will meet you at the end. Having completed all 50 stitches, we can now begin the welt. 6 rows in single crochet, 1 chain stitch, and turn to start the next row on the other side. So here is the first welt, and here is our second welt we've just completed. Trim this, we can just pull this through. So this will come up to here. We'll sew this thread back. But first of all, we need to line the bag. I've cut the lining as wide as the welt, so we don't need to line the full pleating of the bag. It's just going to be a slip inside the bag. Otherwise it's going to get too bulky. This is quite a heavy satin lining. The nice thing about this lining is that it doesn't fray, so I don't even need to edge it. It's got this lovely little crown or pattern here, which I want to keep. This line is straight here. And then the length of this lining is going to be the same as this length, which is from here to here, 12 inches. So there's our lining. This is the inside. There is no right and wrong to this. We're going to start by pinning this into here. So I'm now going to go and just catch this very carefully to the top here. This is all going to go into the clasp, so you won't see any of this. And I'll show you when that's done. The lining is now sewn in, and as I mentioned, we've only sewn it in a little bit. At a later stage, I'm going to sew this down here. We're now going to sew this welt to this side and the other welt to the other. I have here a double thread with a knot on the end in black. We start by finding the center, which is there. I'm going to just secure the thread in the middle here now. The center of the clasp is this hole here. Now we're going to open the clasp, which is going to be easier to work. And we're going to put this at the back, and it will come through here, this one. Now it is important while we're doing it to hold this in place, so that we make sure we catch both the yarn and the lining in here. And we're going to go back into here. And And I want to try not to have too many stitches on the lining, so I'm going to go underneath in the black lining and come through to this one here. And we can't pin this on the metal, so we have to just hold it. I'm just going to secure it on this side. And I'm going to come this way into the black and through here. We can see the black stitches here, which is unfortunate. There's no other way. I'm going to just keep this a little bit open so that this mechanism can work. So I'm going to just keep going until I get to the end, and then I'm going to do this side and the other side, and I'll see you back here. The bag has been stitched now. I had to do the stitching on the outside because the only way to actually attach it, but I think it looks fine. And on the other side, and then when you open it, you see the lining. The next thing I want to do is I need to sew up these edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick it up from here and do single crochet all the way around and then sew it together, and then I will do that on both sides. And you go into the loop and then into the joining stitches, so you don't end up with too many stitches. It's difficult to see, but I'm going to now cut off that piece I've woven back, and then I'm going to go all the way around to edge it and then sew it up together. The bag is finished. I've gone and sewn up the sides, so I crocheted 3 rows of single crochet down each side, which I then sew together, and I push this in just to give the bag the shape I want. I did that on both sides. When we open the bag inside, you can see I've actually sewn these together with the little stamp from the pattern. So I sewed these together so this can't come away on both sides, and it's rather a nice space. Now this little box has got some black beads in it. And the idea here is to make a shoulder strap handle. I like to wear my bag on my shoulder, and this is a carrying bag. I'm going to sew these together. I'm going to use this yarn because it's very strong. I have to make sure that the darning needle goes through. You're going to need a very fine needle, because even though this needle will go through, once it has the yarn on it, it will not go through that bead. So you need a very fine needle, which is obviously a little more difficult to thread, but this one is going to work. So we start by putting the bead in onto the yarn. We've got the one bead on. I've worked out I need 38 inches for my shoulder bag. You will need to double the length of the yarn to allow for the knots between the beads. So once I have the bead on here, I can actually just leave the bead like that, or I could do a knot in it. And the knot is to do like this, and then knot it here, like that. And then the bead will sit on it, and that piece is to sew it up. There are tools that people use for threading beads and pearls, but I don't have that tool, and I can just do it quite easily like this. I've just got to make sure that the knot goes as close to the bead as possible. that's quite close. So there we go, that's quite close. What's quite nice is you can see there's a little metallic that's showing up there. So I'll keep going and show you as I've done a few more. I find if you hold it hanging down, you can get it as close to the knot as possible. I'm then going to make a decision as to whether I'm going to do one thread of beads or two, because I'm just worried about this being strong enough. The ends of the two strings of beads were crocheted and sewn onto the metal clasp. Lindy here, and thank you for taking the time to watch how I crocheted this black metallic handbag. If you would like to see the final in my handbag series on crocheted handbags, this pink one that I'm still working on is the last one that I'll be showing you. Please be sure to hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified when it's available. Take care and bye.